going on, mate?
Not much, bro. Just here, man. It's always stuff to talk about in the world of fighting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So but everything's all right. Sick of this lockdown bullshit, man.
Yeah, it's supposed to be July. It's supposed to be done, right?
Even April. I think it's April 12th. They're talking about things like opening. That to me, like that's like the go sign for me, isn't it? Like obviously raves and whatever is obviously not going to be till like what, June, July or whatever, innit? But look, as long as the barbers is open, the gyms are open, that's all I need, innit?
That's what I was gonna say. Raves ain't seen me for a minute, bro. You know what I mean?
Trying to act like I'm the same as everyone else. Like, this lockdown.
I do that too.
Stopping me from going out. Nah, man, I was doing that for years, bro.
I was talking to my brother about it this morning. I was just like, I know that it's been peak, and I know there's been times where it's been like, I would like to go out and I would just like to have the option. But really and truly, I was already working, coming back, going gym. Basically that. There wasn't any kind of, the only social thing was going to people's houses. So that, that's the only thing I've kind of missed out on.
Yeah, that's essentially it. That is pretty much it. Like even just being able to do this in person would be nice. Do you know what I mean? Like that's obviously a bit like awkward and whatever. And I'm just sick of, like, obviously it's probably not the best thing to say at the start of this, but I'm just sick of fucking screen time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like staring at my own fucking boat more than any other time I have in my entire life, bro. Like
crazy.
And I'm a vain guy, bro. I stare in the mirror a lot, and even I'm sick of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't like work, chatting to friends. Obviously, this show is a little bit different because it's a little bit more fun and a little bit more interesting. Like, but just the constant keeping in touch with people. I'm like, can we just all agree as a social group that we're just not going to talk to each other for fucking months, and then we'll link back up when it's done, like nothing's happened? Is that all right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be blessed, bro. I read an article today about it as well, about people's constant looking, like you said, looking at themselves and becoming super used to almost presenting their own shows, bro. Like it's just got weird, man. It's got weird, and as well as things getting weird in normal life, bro. In UFC as of late, man, it's been probably the weirdest time. The majority of fights, main events have just been so weird. It seems like everybody's just happy to be at their house, and regardless of what happens in the octagon, it don't really matter because they're just happy to be out, happy to be paid, man. It's getting fucking weird, man.
That was a sick little lead in you did there, by the way. That was, you know what I mean? That was nice. Well done. Yeah.
But it's real though, isn't it? Because it's what we said. We said on Fight FT 5 last episode. It was like all of this shaky hand, like, cool, man, that was a great fight and blah blah blah. It's not producing those memorable, everlasting competitions anymore, you know. And like, I get it. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, I hate the like super disrespectful, like spit in your face type of shit. That's not martial arts. But at the same time, that kind of like fiery clash that we had when there was crowds seems to kind of be dying down now, man.
That's just what I was about to ask you, is do you think that a crowd would influence that? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's obviously, you know, like different from person to person, from fighter to fighter. Some probably need it more than others, but to a certain extent it's got to have an impact on getting the mindset ready for the big show, and kind of, you know what I mean? It's like even you know, like we saw Dan Hooker when he went into that fight with Michael Chandler. I think like he sort of, that was such a big event. Like, he's like, yo, I'm fighting this guy that's supposed to be the new next best thing. It's on a Conor undercard. It's the big opportunity. Maybe it didn't feel like that to him when he got in there, and he was like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I think so. I think there's definitely an X factor that is, you know, it could break people. Same as, I bet if Cerrone fought without a crowd, he'd be a better Cerrone. And when he does fight with those big crowds on those main events, doesn't really perform. So there's always that make or break thing. And what Floyd always said is, yeah, you might be the guy, and yeah, you're good in the thing, but when it comes to under the lights, I run this shit. And that is that is for me. I know it's martial arts and I know it's combat sports and yada yada yada, but that is a element that you've got to get with, and you got to go on to the next level. You need to be able to handle that and perform in those situations. It's like imagine if we was to have an argument, right? Just me and you. We'd feel our way, but if there was a crowd around us, imagine how much more escalated that would turn into. You know what I'm saying? You would go that you would think like, even if you say something, you'd be like, oh, your mum's this or something, and I'll be like, yeah, she kind of is still in my mind, but like, you know. But then if everyone's like, oh no, that's gotta push you on to something new, isn't it?
I mean, even without like necessarily the reactions and like the noise of the crowd or whatever in it, and like I get obviously with the UFC, you know for a fact that there's a certain amount of people watching at home, as you know, it's going to be however million people around the world, or hundreds of thousands within the US. But does it feel like it? Whereas if you're, say for example, at work, in a work scenario, like you know, an office job or whatever, someone comes up to you and says something, come to your desk and says something, it's going to go differently than if they say it during a meeting when you've got all the people around in the actual same room.
Yeah,
that goes very differently. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I can see what you mean in that respect, and I feel like knowing that there's people watching and actually feeling the eyes on you are two completely separate things, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It's got to be, man. You must be able to, as much as you know, like you said, to people watching on TV and tuning in and blah, 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 you can turn it off. Yeah, I'm sure you could turn it off, especially if somebody's punching you in your face, you could turn it off. But if you can't turn off the fact of like, when you're just looking around and then letting that add to your performance, or even take away from your performance. But whatever it has been, as of late, the last couple of events there've been some standout moments, yeah, but it's quite clear that it would be a whole different thing now. And I think that's probably why, I think we were talking about this already. I feel like that's probably why Usman's going back against Masvidal with crowd. I feel like because of what's happened lately and the kind of dip in kind of views and the dip in performances, with that being like a kind of a tasty grudge match, should we say, even though I feel it's quite one-sided, with it being crowds now, I feel that's the best time to like see what is the difference now between with and without, man. So as far as, even that fight itself, it don't make much sense to me to even run that back, man. Like, I don't know where that came from.
As like, again, I'm always talking from like a fan's perspective, is the only perspective I can talk from. But if I would imagine to put myself in the shoes of, I mean, we all know why Masvidal would take the fight. That's not. But if I'm going to put myself in the shoes of the UFC and of Kamaru Usman, the only way that I can kind of make sense of it is, I think maybe on a pride thing for Usman, he's sort of thinking, right, I'm sick of this guy talking shit like the 6 any fucking difference at all, and it would go any different with the full camp. Give him the full camp. And then from obviously the UFC, like, it's, I mean, personally, I don't. The one thing I can't get my head around is why it's not Colby.
Yeah,
Masvidal was a big star.
Yeah,
and there's a beef there to an extent with Kamaru. It's they're not friendly by any stretch, but it feels a little bit more manufactured and a little bit more just because of the sport than with Colby and Kamaru, who just very, very much dislike each other. There's completely different people, got completely different views on absolutely everything. If you said if Kamaru said to Colby, the sky's blue, he would go, no, it's not, it's green. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And I feel like that's what I can't get my head around, is why it's not Colby, who has a win since his loss to Kamaru.
Yeah,
Masvidal doesn't, and that's what I don't get that. But
it's got to be the crowd thing. I don't know if that's facts, but I think that April, whatever it is, April 27th, I think it is, April 20 something, is the first time they're going to have crowds back to a degree. Is that the first time, right?
Yeah. And it's going to be like, I mean, I don't know what a normal sold out crowd was before COVID, so I don't fully there, but it's apparently going to be 15,000.
Okay.
Is it Florida? Is it Florida they're doing it? If it's Florida, Masvidal's like, he's not from Florida, but he's like,
Yeah, that's a hometown. Yeah, in Miami. Yeah. He's that's a hometown hero.
Yeah, there we go. So I guess that makes a bit of sense.
Oh, okay, I see what you. Oh, okay, yeah. That's actually true.
Because it's like I don't know where the hell Colby's from, but if where he's from isn't open to fans, then that they can't do it there. So you know what I mean. To get the hometown factor in, then I guess that kind of makes a.
Yeah, it's true, and it's there's been a lot of. It feels one-sided to me as far as because the animosity seems to be coming from Usman, and I understand why, but it seems to be if Usman obviously didn't have a strap around his waist, Masvidal would be like, I don't really give a shit about this guy, innit? It seems to be coming from Kamaru, innit? So I'm just like, yeah, I don't really buy into it fully. I understand it, and I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna enjoy it, but it's more for me to see what happens now when there's a crowd, man. That's what I'm super excited to see, man. Only because of how weird it's gone. Because in the beginning, I thought without crowd was really good, man. There was some crazy fights in the early days of lockdown, and I think Masvidal was one of the Masvidal Usman won no crowd.
Yeah. I think that was on Fight Island, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was like, okay, this is gonna be all right now because this is like generally this is working. And then it was obviously what happened to Conor, and and obviously 259 was a bit weird as well. But you know, there's got to be an element now where I'm kind of over this whole indoors thing. Let's take it back to the crowds and see what's popping, man.
It will be. Do you know what? It'll be, it's there's pros and cons to both. There's pros and cons. I think after having a year now of no fans. And you know the Apex and whatever. That's another thing actually. I don't like the smaller cage. I know that's obviously more of a thing for the fighters than for the fans. But as someone watching it, I don't know. I don't like the smaller cage. It makes it feel a little bit cramped.
It gets there quick. It gets there quick, and it allows for like that. What we saw against Bilal against Edwards. It was like it was like one kind of charge, and you was at the cage there. Boom, locked in, up against the cage. And it was like, oh shit, okay, I get it. I know he's good at it, and I know he usually does that. But it seems to be blinking there right at the cage, man. So I'm with you on that, man. I'm not super feeling it. And it makes sense for I think even like Yan and Izzy. It was a smaller cage, and it didn't really do much for either because it was kind of like okay, it might favor a striker over a grappler having a smaller cage, but. It didn't look like it favored Izzy at all, really.
I think it would favor a wrestler more than a striker, having a smaller, being able to drive them up against the fence quicker, cut off the cage quicker, rather than having them on their bike for, you know what I mean, for the full 15 or 25 minutes. Like if you get on your bike and use your footwork in a bigger cage in a bigger arena, then you're going to be a lot harder for a wrestler to get a hold of in the first place, I think. So like I can, and I think like you say with the Izzy and Yan, I think that certainly didn't benefit
it. It didn't look nice as well.
Not to say that that's the reason he lost or anything like that, but it certainly didn't play into his favor of his kind of style, especially because he's got like great footwork, striking footwork. He's really really good at that. But I'll tell you one thing I do like about the no crowd, and like it's not enough for me to be like, oh yeah, let's keep it this way. I'm still looking for fans back, but I do like the how audible everything is. Not from from the corner to people walking to each other in the cage, like you say that smack that you hit when the strikes land. Like I think I quite like that, and it's not enough for me to sort of not want the fans back or anywhere even close to that. But it's something. It gives another element, another dimension to watching the fight that we necessarily didn't have before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the most kind of excited I've been recently. It's like you said, recency bias. I think that's so on point, man. Is when AJ fought Pulev and they had limited crowd. Boy, oh boy. That didn't feel like a limited crowd. I heard people chanting, and they got some of the loudest people in the probably country to get in there because that felt good, man. That felt crazy to watch, man. That was super
100%.
gassed.
Even the was it 257 Conor Poirier card?
Yeah.
Even they had like 2,000 in there or something like that. and even that felt different. Like I could, you know, and they had I think they had the crowd there, like I say, a very limited crowd there for Max on I think it was the Wednesday before.
Oh shit, yeah.
Like 2 or 3 cards within
Yeah.
like a few days of each other on Fight Island, and I had a few people, and I remember hearing a Holloway chant, and they were like, Holloway,
Yeah,
and I was, I
yeah.
felt that, and I was, you know what I mean, like that made it a whole different thing for me, and sort of, it's almost like teasing you a little bit to sort of remind you, because you know you kind of get used to the no, like it is what it is, whatever. I kind of forgotten what it was like anyway, and then the Holloway chant, and I was like, oh man, we need to get these fans back.
Trust.
We need to get so fucking quick, man. Like
as soon as it comes back, and we're gonna think, how did we put up with it without? But it's just one of those. This is probably the weirdest time in history. Probably, I would say, probably for our generation. This is on this. Probably can't compare it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. You know when 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened. How weird things was. If this was it was like, bro, life ain't gonna be what it was yesterday. And this, what we're in now, is super weird, man. I think this is the weirdest time.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not even gonna lie to you. 9/11 for me, I was too young to get the gravity of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it at all. I remember. Do you know what's funny? I remember coming home from school, and I come in, and my mum said to me, I think I must have been, when was 9/11? Like 2001, something like that.
I feel like I should know, but yeah.
I was like 10, 11 years old, and at 11 post, innit?
Okay.
And I remember coming home from school, and I come in, and my mum said to me, she was like, "Oh, like a plane's gone into the 2000, whatever," and I was like, "That's a shame, but okay."
Yeah.
You know
what does that mean? Yeah. What?
I was like, and then like obviously as I got older, I started to realize the implications of it and whatever, innit? But I think especially for people, anyone my age and younger. So anyone under 30, full stop. Under, full stop.
Yeah.
This is just the weirdest shit you can ever. I mean, let's be honest, man. Because it's gone on so long. Like obviously the 9/11 is was horrific and everything. Like the weirdness that comes along with it was fully. But it was that was a one incident that rippled obviously for a time afterwards.
Yeah.
But this is a solid year. Like again, like I'm a bit like you here. I don't necessarily want to start making wild comparisons in it that people are gonna get upset at. Yeah. But like since like we're talking about like World War II is the last time for such a sustained period of time that things have been so fucked up in it.
It's game changing. It's game changing levels of like you said, how prolonged it's been and how things are now going to be different going forwards and irreversibly different going forward. So it's like those. I was thinking about it, like you said, age wise. I was in secondary school, and I think it's 4 years difference in school terms, which you would be like, say, starting secondary. I'll be like in year 11, and you should have seen it. Not you should have seen it, but it was a weird emptiness on the streets. And I used to come back and get on the train to get back from I went to school out in Essex, come back to Stratford in East London, and it was all bonkers, bruv. Everything was like ghosted out. Then you looked at the TV, it was like, is that even real? And that, like, I'm not, again, like I said, not to compare the two times. I feel the same level of this is kind of OTT weird now. So let alone the fact of I'm complaining about UFC should be better, blah blah blah. They're doing a good job considering that there's been anything going on at all, isn't it? Because I feel like without those big heavyweight fights, without those big draws in boxing must be getting hurt right now as far as like things to engage with. Because I know I have not been as engaged. I didn't watch the last Canelo fight. I think
that was a choice between, because they was on at the same time. I can't remember what the card was.
Oh, for real.
But I remember like I got the email on my phone from BT Sport and DAZN. Both sent me an email like hello, watch this. I think I'm not sure it was even, I could be wrong in it, but I don't think it was even like a numbered event, a pay-per-view for the UFC. I think it was a fight night.
Yeah,
and I remember shit. I was like, do I want to watch the Canelo fight or do I want to watch the MMA? I'm watching the UFC, man. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, if that had been Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders, then that would have been then that would have probably been a different story, innit? But the way that boxing is right now, and especially with the fights that Canelo's been having,
They're waiting, ain't they? They're waiting, man.
I catch that in the morning. Yeah.
They're waiting for it because they need the gate money, they need the buyers, they need that lines the pockets of the fighters themselves. So it must be a different like percentage split between who gets what. That's what the only reason I can see that is kind of like. I'm not saying I've lost interest at like entirely, but there's not been apart from the AJ fight and probably obviously I forget that Dillian Whyte was what month? That was okay. That was last year actually. Dillian Whyte getting knocked out was last year. That's fucking
yeah. That was
wow.
What summer last year was it?
Wow. And see my whole perspective of how long things were ago is getting all out of whack anyway. So I don't even know what's going on. But I do know.
I wasn't good at that even before lockdown.
Yeah, real.
You know what I mean? Like I was terrible with that.
Trust me, man.
Like 2 years ago, and I'm like, yeah, it was the other week, innit? Like,
yeah, the other day. That's what I've been saying to my missus. I'm like, if I say the other day, it could be between 3 weeks and 5 years. It could be anywhere. It could be anywhere between those parameters, man. But fuck, I don't know what's going on. But Dillian Whyte is fighting again. I think this it's end of this month, right? 27th ish.
Like what was it? Is it? It's either this weekend or next weekend, isn't it?
I think it might even be. Yeah, I think it might even be this weekend. If it's the 19th on this weekend, thereabouts.
We are so unprepared.
Yeah,
this is the most unprofessional shit in the world, bro.
Yeah. Trust me, it's not like we're running a site with a fight schedule on it and we're putting up all the things and all the rest of it. That's all happening.
I mean, listen, we should be using it ourselves. It's on. I remember typing it in. It's on. It's on there.
Trust me, it's crazy. But that fight is gonna be that's I don't know who's on the undercard. I want to probably look at that again. That's on the website again. I haven't even had a chance to look myself, but I'm looking forward to see Dillian do the business, man. What do you reckon on that one? Do you reckon he's gonna clap him out?
Do you know what? I'm not gonna be brave enough to call the method, but I think Dillian gets it done. You don't do that to Dillian Whyte twice, innit? You don't do that. And like he before that punch, he looked good in the first fight. He did. It's not like Povetkin was banging man for rounds and rounds and then fight. Not like he was looking good, man. It was looking.
I thought it was over.
Like that shocked me. That definitely shocked me. So yeah, no, Dillian's gonna get it done, man. You don't do that to Dillian Whyte twice in a row, man.
No, I think before the bell sounded on the previous round, which I'm gonna say was like 4, something like that. When he went back to his corner, I was like, right, okay, Povetkin's finished. He's gonna come in and do the business on him, and it's done. And then the uppercut was like, woo. But my takeaway from that fight entirely was, how good is AJ? How different of a fight was that AJ fight versus Povetkin versus AJ? Because Povetkin did rock AJ. He got him quite early, I think the third, and he had him doing his old shaky leg. But it shows me how much better AJ is than a lot of these people that don't want to give him his just desserts. Obviously, who gives a fuck what anyone says? He's strapped up to the nines anyway. It doesn't matter. But he is a lot better than I think people give him credit for, especially in those kind of, obviously they got to probably say it to a degree. They're all competitors and they got to jazz it up at the end of the day. But see, putting those fights back to, side by side and seeing how AJ handled Povetkin versus how Dillian got handled by Povetkin, it's like, wow, okay. Elevation is there. And he's been getting better and better and better. And what he did to Pulev was just like,
that was a sick fight, man. I enjoyed that.
Oh, it was the best.
And it was so good to watch. It was a great fight to watch, and as a demonstration of how good AJ is, it was everything you wanted, man. I really enjoyed that.
It was exciting, and again, that's moments in time, and I won't forget that. And that. What I was saying when he came in for the kill, I was like, drop the 1-2. When he just did that boom, bam, I was like, yo, I can't wait to see him drop that on our guy, innit? The fucking Gypsy King, bro. The Gypsy King. Okay,
before we get into that, let's take it back a minute.
Yeah.
Because so I don't want to sort of be like pissing on anyone's bonfire or nothing, innit? But like the fight's signed now.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Like, oh, is it though? Like, I literally saw an interview with Tyson Fury. Like, I think I can't remember if it was maybe even the day after. It was either a day before or a day after. And he said apparently the fight is signed. That's news to me.
I didn't know
like,
that.
That's not a good sign, man.
Yeah.
And like, about I'm back in 10, 12 pints a day. I'm thinking that's probably a joke. He's probably joking there. I'm hoping. I'm hoping. It's not what I want to hear, innit? And he's like, yeah, fucking Mark Breland's gone home.
Yep.
We're not in. I'm like, oh, this isn't what I wanted to hear, man. Like,
it's either the best get out of jail card you can play at the end of a loss. That because it's a 2-fight deal anyway. So regardless of what happens, it's gonna be a rematch. We're gonna see it twice. So he can either say, I came into it unprepared in the beginning, and if AJ touches him, or he can say, I can beat you when I've just come off of a bender. What you saying, innit? Like, either way, that is the biggest fight in a long time.
Of course. And I'm just, listen, I'd like to say, I'm not trying to be super overly skeptical, but I just hope that we get to see it in the next sort of, 12 months. And even that's being a bit generous. Hopefully it's going to be a lot sooner than that. But I would hope that we get to see it, because, listen, I mean, I don't want it to be a Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao situation in which that so much longer afterwards than it should have done. You know what I mean?
There isn't enough wriggle room as what they both had as far as the potential opponents, because it's a lot shallower in those top echelons of heavyweights, and with the belts both being in the UK, all of the belts being in the UK now, there's not that much there's not much room for maneuver at all, you know. So I could be patient for this. I can definitely wait for this, because when I say wait, I'm talking about, like you said, within the next 12 months, but it has to be a crowd. It has to be a big arena event. And it has to be like bells and whistles as far as the build up, the talk, and all the whole 9 yards. I don't want to see no restrictions or nothing. And if it comes, I was about to say something deep there, but I'm not going to say I don't care what happens to people that go to the event and blah, blah, blah. But I want to see people cheek and jowl, ram up into this fucking motherfucker. Yeah. Like, I want to see it going, innit?
Listen, not just for the fight, but for the press conference beforehand.
All of that.
Know, everything, the whole 9 yards in it. Like, that's the,
and I could wait. I could wait, man. I don't want it to be rushed to the point where, because we've got to do it now because it's this and because it's that, and if we don't do it now, we might not get enough. Blah 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 blah. If there's any kind of maybes, just wait, man. I'm okay to just wait. I've been waiting this long. You know, you could say, you want to keep them both fresh and active and doing their thing. Okay, cool. All right, I get it, man. But I feel like they've got enough fights on their belt now to know what time it is.
Listen, I don't want to risk this on any keep active fight.
Like, no way, not again. Because the Pulev one was like, he could, on paper, seeing what Pulev did to other people. Like, don't get me wrong, I was like very confident that AJ was gonna do the business on him, and I was surprised at how much lever Pulev took off of him and kept it going. I was like, fucking hell, that's a hard bastard right there. It could go the other way. You know, he could gas out, which he's done in the past. It could go the other way. But boy, oh boy, like, it has to happen now, innit? And that is going to be the most interesting fight, because I don't even know whose team I'm going to be on. To be honest, I really don't even know.
I kind of do, innit? Come on, man, it's AJ, bro.
You see, and that's the thing, because there was a time where Tyson Fury for me was doing the business. I'm not on this. I'm not on the kind of like, I love a comeback and blah 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 blah. I think he's a tasty fucking boxer, innit? I think you're naturally gifted, and you've got the physical attributes, and you're big like that, and you could do all that weird shit like that.
He's incredible to watch. That 100%. He's an incredible boxer to watch. Like, I think it's sort of it's almost like a bit mind blowing when you watch him fight. He's like
crazy.
You know, doing things and moving in a way that we haven't really seen for a very, 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 very long time, especially for a man his size. And I'm not, almost anyone else, then I'm rooting for Tyson Fury.
Yeah, like, see? Yeah,
anyone else, of course, like, you know, the Wilder fight, if he fights fucking Ruiz, even someone else again, someone who I love is Derek Chisora. If he fights Derek Chisora, I'm still going with Gypsy Boy in it, but it's AJ, man.
Yeah,
That's AJ. Like
yeah.
there's
I'm with it. It's so, because there was the fucking time that like AJ was not delivering in a couple ways. Obviously, when he lost to Reeves, and that obviously turned out to be one of the best things that could have ever happened to him, I think. And I feel like his performances have been going up and up incrementally from that point. But there's been a couple times I'm just like, yo, what are you saying about this? And are you sure you should have said that? And I had to check myself and say, hold on a minute. Why am I so mad at this guy? Because I'm like, oh yeah, heavyweight should be more like Mike Tyson. But in reality, Mike Tyson isn't the type of person you'd actually want to be. You don't want to live his life. You don't want to be. You don't want to be in his shoes. You don't want to be in that position. So it might look good from afar. It might look good on TV. But as far as who's the better person, how you should be handling things, AJ, he streaks above other people. And I fell victim to the whole, heavyweight champion needs to be going on like this and this and this and this, a bit more aggressive, blah, 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 blah. Okay, D, relax. Let man live his life and let him become his own champion. And since that, I come to that point in my mind. I think it was when he banged up Ruiz on the second one, he was just holding him like it was his child, bro. I was just like, I was like, okay, cool. You do it your way, my G. And realistically, I look at AJ and think like, if any of my big brethren was to be boxing like professionally, I bet they would go on exactly like him, innit? You know, it seems to be a person that's just normal guy, innit? Yeah. And what's wrong with that?
Absolutely, man. No, of course. And like, listen, like you say, there's attributes to the Mike Tyson type. Even Tyson Fury himself, he's a character, innit? You know what I mean? He's a character. But that's the thing about characters. You like to watch them, you don't like to live them. You know what I mean? It's like, that's when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's a very good point. We're gonna have to write that one in quotables, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Gonna clip that one up.
Yeah. You know, it's mad though, because I mean, you look on paper, and even what Mike Tyson's done recently, and I hope it doesn't go that way as well, because I've seen a glimmer in Mike. Not that I know him from a fucking hole in the wall, yeah, but I see a glimmer of him falling in love with the gas again. Because he apparently fucked off Eben Britton off of hot boxing. He's out. Like Eben's gone now, so he's no longer part of his podcast anymore. I'm like, oh shit, Mike, are you going on militant again? And obviously, since he fought Roy Jones Jr. and he's feeling the adulation, his pockets are getting deeper, and I'm seeing he's starting to say some. So I'm like, bro, that's a bit dark. Whoa.
Well, I heard him say that he wants to knock someone out again, because he didn't want to knock out Roy Jones Jr. He said, I wanted to go the distance with him, get some minutes under my belt, and now I want to knock someone out.
He wants to hurt people.
Yeah. Like, and like, personally, I don't want to see him fight again. Full stop.
Ever.
I didn't want to see him fight against Roy Jones. I want to see that happen.
Me neither. It was as of a wet squid as I thought it would be, and I made it my business to not pay for it, because that's the only way I feel that we as viewers and fans can have any kind of judgment in these kind of things. It's just opt out, because that is a view at the end of the day. People think they're powerless to like, oh, it's gonna happen anyway, so you might as well pay your fucking 22 quid. Nope, I'm not paying a fucking nothing for it, mate, because I don't agree with it. Same as Not as same as Ben Askren, not even Ben Askren. What's Jake Paul, all the rest of them guys. Like, I'm just gonna opt out and I'm gonna just get a pirate stream. Fuck it. That's how much I care about this. I'll watch it. I'll probably watch it the day after as well, just to say fuck you, just as well as that. But back to Mike Tyson, I knew it was gonna be exactly like that. And anyone that thought it was gonna be anything different, you're not living in reality at all. And on top of that, I personally feel like this is not looking after Mike Tyson's best interest, because you give Mike Tyson too much gas, too many yes men start to come around him. It's the ingredients for a wild, horrific ending to somebody that I want to see live a long and extended life, because those type of people, if you start to gas him up too much and someone hands him the smack again and he's like, yeah, fuck the vegan thing, I'll start backing lines again. 50 years old or not, he's gonna revert back to type, man. And we've seen it. We've seen it on moments in hotboxing where he's like, yo, man, I feel like a bitch, like sitting there sometimes doing a podcast. Like, I hate it. Sometimes I just want to just go out and hurt people. Like that's still him in himself, but he's calmed it down because of the way he's living and how he's living. So if you keep pumping him up, everyone's going to look on the TV and be like, Mike Tyson OD'd. Mike Tyson drove his Ferrari off the blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to see that, man, because people are going to just keep on gassing him up till he burns out and in a big flame. And I don't want to see that at all. So to go back to what I'm saying about like the comparison of heavyweights, oh, the big, bad and ugly ones are the baddest man on the planet, blah, blah, blah. Fuck that, man. Fuck that shit. Because we've all moved forward. And GSP recently said it to everyone. I think an interview that happened either yesterday or the day before.
2 days at most, isn't it? Yeah.
Recent one. He was like, whether we like it or not, things have progressed. I'm a fan of Royce Gracie, and I think he's the guy, and he could have done anything to anyone in his prime. But when you start getting into this whole who would win, AJ versus Mike Tyson or Royce Gracie versus GSP, or blah 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 blah, forget about it. We've all progressed since that point. We've seen your mistakes and we've moved forwards. And today's champions, the Lionel Messi's, the Ronaldos and all the rest of them, they're better football players than the Pelés and the Maradonas. Facts. Mm-hmm. So if you want to say some shit about, oh, AJ ain't a Mike Tyson, blah, blah, blah. Well, we could go down that route of theoretical something or other. But, boy, I feel like AJ and Tyson Fury are superior boxers, full stop, and they're at the top of the pile, not just because there's no competition, just because that they're just the best out there, man. So anyone that's on that, like, oh, the golden years of fighting and blah 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 blah, obviously pioneers get their own thing. If you're the first to do something, if you're the first to get those pay-per-view buys and all the rest of it, yeah, cool, things have moved forward, deal with it, because you ain't gonna be on top forever, innit? And man like GSP, the guy of keeping it real at all times, called it as it was, man. Doesn't matter about what I think anymore. The people that are at the top right now are at the top for a reason, because they are the best. Simple as that. So, I mean, as far as Tyson Fury and AJ in an actual fight, I don't have a fucking clue. But the decider for me is, I think that AJ wants to beat him more than what the Gypsy King wants to do to him, because I feel like Tyson Fury is like, obviously I'm going to bang him. He's my son. But I feel like AJ's like, I'm going to show you that this ain't no joke. And I think that that's going to take it on to the next level, where I think, imagine if AJ knocked out Tyson Fury, bro. Imagine if he knocked him out after Tyson Fury took the deepest puncher in the game and got up. And it was like, nobody can out-punch Deontay Wilder. Imagine AJ knocks out Tyson Fury. What next?
It's a lot, bro. Yeah, no, imagine that. You know what? For me, the thing is like, when it comes to boxing, especially, I'm sort of I'm happily accepting of myself as a bit of a layman and someone that, you know, loves the sport and enjoys to watch it, but doesn't have quite that level of understanding. Certainly not to the extent that I do in MMA, which even that is, you know, I'm sort of like, you know, the lower end of the knowledge spectrum or whatever. When it comes to boxing, I look to people whose opinion I respect, and the problem is that they're split themselves. Yeah, and I'm going forth, and I'm going back and forth. I'm seeing someone say like yeah, I think you know, AJ can do it, and and then I see Teddy Atlas the other day talking about how he's like, yep, 100% Tyson Fury's got this, no sweat. This is why. And I'm like, oh yeah, but then that's a good point as well. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit of a pinball in this one, or a ping pong ball or whatever, just going back and forth.
It will happen until the night.
What's the most recent thing that's come out and been said? That's where I'm. It's funny because that bouncing off will happen all the way up until the ring walk, until they get into the ring, and then hopefully by that time everyone will be in the same gaff and we could just all talk about it then. But I tell you,
it's gonna happen. You're gonna see chinks in the armor. He should have said this. Did you see how he said that? See what happened in the face-off all the way until they're in the ring, and then from that point you will know what time it is. From that point that AJ stood in the ring on Ruiz 1, I was like, oh boy, this is gonna get dumb, and it ended up dumb, innit? So like, as far as like the professionals and the Teddy Atlases and boxers, they're all saying Tyson Fury. They're all saying Tyson Fury. Anthony Yard said, Josh Kelly, obviously Teddy, other British boxers were all saying Tyson Fury is going to win. And I was like, I understand why. And 9 times out of 10, I would just say, yep, I'm with that. That makes perfect sense. But something inside me, maybe I just want him to win. That's probably
that's what I was about to say. I think there's the certain bias of who you want to win is always going to be there. For me, that's 100% AJ. Like I'm a massive fan of Anthony Joshua. I'm a big Tyson Fury fan as well. But as I think I've probably said about 500 times in the last sort of 10-20 minutes, AJ all day and AJ all day. But I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I feel like AJ will do better because of the fact that people, for the most part, think Tyson Fury is going to win.
Yeah,
I feel like that in itself is a great start for AJ. I think he does very, very. I mean, no one thought that Andy Ruiz was going to do what he did, and I think he. And then again, you look at even going back as far as the Klitschko fight. I think even in that sense of not to say that everyone thought Klitschko was going to win and no one gave Anthony Joshua a chance, but I think the fact that it was such a big opponent with this massive resume and this sort of prestige around him, I think that in itself gave AJ a little something extra, to be able to get up off the canvas and to be able to land that dumb uppercut and to get the job done. You know what I mean? I think that's who he was. That definitely helped. So I think, and that, again, with the Tyson Fury fight, the fact that, like say, he took the punch off the biggest puncher that no one can outpunch in Deontay Wilder and got back up, AJ will look at that and go, okay, let me have a go then.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I think that the kind of everyone has to go back to, okay, what did AJ do against Klitschko and what did Fury do against Klitschko? And that's the only thing we can say, and that's what everyone's kind of just marking it off of, and that's what everyone's saying. Fury took apart Klitschko, and AJ had a very tight competitive fight and took it by arguably a whisker when it really got deep. I just think that that's a style thing. I just think that they were very similar frames. Klitschko's got that very jump in 1-2 same attack, and it just kind of like it worked to kind of like counter each other, and it didn't work together. So if you're saying, okay, it would be like a rewind of like, okay, see what Fury did against that type of fighter, that's what he's gonna do against AJ again. I feel like he's got more in his tank. I reckon AJ's got more. He's progressed a lot more since that fight, and I feel like he's one of the quickest progressions after every fight. Every fight he fights a big competitive fight, and he learns and he gets better every time. Ruiz was weird. That was almost like he should have won on any other day of the week. He should have won, and people forget that when Ruiz dropped down that time, I was like, I almost turned off the TV because I was like, yeah, it's done. It's finished. It's finished. And I was like, on to the next one. That was a cool little fight. Let's forget about it. Realistically, like he 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna say like shit happens and everyone's got a puncher's chance. That worn out saying, but realistically, AJ should have won that. And shit happens sometimes. He had a day where he got hit against his ears, got wobbled and didn't recover. Cool. I don't see Fury doing that, and I don't see it working just that way. But again, this is probably one of the most kind of like whose style is going to prevail fights. I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. It's usually like, oh, Dillian's going to bang Povetkin or AJ's going to bang Pulev. Now I don't fucking know at all.
I mean, that is essentially why the fight is as big as it is.
Yeah.
They're both two of the best boxers in the world, possibly ever. That's why the fight is as big, isn't it? And like this, and it happens. I think it's happened quite a lot, especially in MMA as well, where you get super, super competitive fights on paper all the fucking time. And if someone picks, and like, you know, we've done this ourselves on the podcast, on the show ourselves, where we made a pick, you made this pick, and I've made this pick. One of us is going to be right. One of us is going to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's only one outcome. One of us right and one of us wrong. If we're picking two, and it's not ever a situation in which, you pick this guy to win and he got banged. You don't know nothing about the sport.
It's weird, but people feel like that, man. People are gung ho with the like, I told you so's and what do you know and blah 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 blah. Yeah, all right, man. It could, because everyone would have said, you know, it's so weird that when Izzy lost, even how Izzy's moving and the kind of reaction. Even in interviews, it's like he didn't fucking lose. Realistically, they're talking to him like nothing even happened. No one even really gives a shit. It's like, yeah, cool, whatever. But if he would have won, everyone would be like, yeah, Jan was kind of dead anyway, whatever. It's only because John Jones moved and blah, 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 blah. It's everyone's an expert after the fact, innit? Just commit early, innit? Commit early and then I'll respect you. Other than that, you can fuck off.
This is the thing, innit? Like, yeah, everyone's got an opinion as well. Everyone's got an opinion. And I love people to give it. I absolutely love people to give it. Give me your opinion. Tell me what you think in it. As soon as it happens, take a fucking page out of Izzy's book. If you called it wrong, act like nothing happened, mate. It's calm. Like, it's okay, innit, bro? It's like, fam, listen. The way we were talking before the Conor Dustin fight.
That had to get deleted from the archives. It got deleted.
It's okay, innit? It's okay. It's all right. None of you will ever see that ever.
Never.
But if you were to, it don't matter, innit? It's okay, man. It's all good, then it don't worry. So listen, on that note, then, I want to go through. I'm gonna get some upcoming fights, both boxing and MMA. I want to get you to call them. I want to see your prediction. I'll give mine. Just for the sake of it. So first of all, we'll go with AJ and Tyson, because we've been talking about it. Just the final word on that. Who are you going with?
I reckon it's simply like you said. It's AJ has to. I feel like when you put AJ in the corner of like, I'm gonna prove you wrong, that's when you see the best out of him. And I feel like this is definitely one of those fights, because it seems like quite a given on paper and credentials and stylistically that Fury should win, but I think that's going to propel AJ to the next level of performance, and I think AJ is going to win it. It might even be a decision. I'll be shocked to see anyone knock anyone out, but I reckon that AJ is going to win. What do you say?
I'm with you there. Completely agree. That's where we got one where we've come together on that one. And again, I imagine the next one, Dillian Whyte, Povetkin. I'm going with Dillian Whyte. Like I've already said, I don't think Povetkin really is going to be able to beat him on a decision, and I don't think you knock Dillian out twice in a row. I don't think that happens on it. So I'm going Dillian Whyte.
The only reason I'm up in the air is what could he do differently than the first, right? Obviously, that was a surprise uppercut. People say it's a surprise lucky punch. He set that up, moved to the side, and threw it. And he's been throwing that. Since I saw that, I was like, let me go back and see how many times he tries that in other people. He does that a lot, man. So I'm like, okay, what can Dillian do differently? Because he done a lot right in the first fight, as far as kind of like moderating his output. And then when it was time to stick it on him, he stuck it on him, but didn't gas out, and he was looking for a long fight. I'm just like, the difference, what can he do differently? Go out there and go full pelt from the jump? Bang, 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 body. Is that what's going to happen? Because that's probably not the best idea. I think it's quite tight, man. I think it's quite tight.
Listen. It's not an open and shut. It's not an open. I just think that Dillian's got it. I think he's got the wherewithal to kind of make sure that doesn't happen again. Yeah. And like I said, I think on a decision, if we're talking about a fight that goes 12 rounds, then I think that's again Dillian's got that, man.
And to kind of not answer my own question, but in my mind, whilst I'm thinking about it, the only thing, and I think that would be different this time is Dillian has not come out of camp since. He's been in Portugal since. I think he took 3 weeks off, so he's going to be the fittest he's probably ever been in his life, regardless of the war against AJ and everything in between. He's probably going to be the fittest he's ever been coming into this fight, and that's going to bode well for being able to take ridiculous damage in it. So,
and on the other side of things, I don't want to sort of like go into it too much because I'm not, privy to the full details. But Povetkin had COVID.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, he was quite ill with it. It wasn't just that, oh, you got a positive test, you got to self-isolate for 2 weeks and then you're back. From what I understand, he was quite unwell for a period. And I mean, we've heard of this with a lot of athletes. I mean, the most famous, obviously, probably Khamzat Chimaev, not doing very well after a fairly long illness now since he first got COVID. It's been a fair time that he's just not quite right. And again, even like and this is another thing that was going on with football. I remember watching football games and hearing about certain players that aren't with the squad today because they tested positive for COVID, and then after 2 weeks, there was almost an expectation that they they come back after a couple of weeks and people are like, oh, this guy's playing shit, man. What the fuck is he doing? Like it's not a fucking deadly virus that might, for some people, we might not even notice it. But for others, it's, you know what I mean? Like
game changer,
It's not a given for you to be like, cool, I'm back now. I've had 2 weeks off. I'm back now. Everything's exactly where it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's not a given, isn't it? So that could play a factor. It could not. I don't know, but it certainly does.
At the very least, I mean, 100% agree. At the very least, Povetkin could not have been putting his trainers on tarmac as many hours as Dillian has in between. So there's got to so say if that took a 0.8% of his overall cardiovascular output away, and time alone, and let alone the fact of he wants to like get over this loss and move forward. There's a lot on Dillian's side to be able to push him to a win. But like, as far as the fight's concerned, I'm like, what can he done a lot. I didn't see that many chinks in his armor as far as like, oh, what the fuck are you doing? Why did you do it? Maybe he could have pressed more that time when he had him rocked, but he thought it was going to be a longer fight than that. That shit happens. That happens against Gilbert. That happens all the fucking time, innit? So realistically, I don't know. I'm gonna have to just pick a team and say Dillian, because UK to the death, man. I've been following him for the longest time. I want him to win more than anything, but fucking hell, is this probably the most riskiest fight? Because from a loss after 2 losses off that same guy, that will plateau your progression for long time, the longest time. He has to win. He has to win.
Completely agree. Going on to the next one. Listen, I've got to ask, innit? I've got to ask, and I apologise for this one, innit? Jake Paul, Ben Askren, come on.
What the fuck?
What's gonna happen? I have to.
I thought we was talking about real fights here, man. Fucking.
We're a combat sports show, and by definition, I believe that does count as a sport. Not 100. I'll have to check the wording, the small print on that, but I think it constitutes a combat sport. So Ben Askren, Jake Paul, he's winning it. Come on.
Can Ben Askren withstand a battering from a mediocre boxer? On paper, he must be able to. I would
think so. I would be surprised if Jake Paul has the ability to knock Ben Askren out. I'll be very, very.
I'll be surprised, man. He's been in there with way more dangerous people, and he's survived. Survived.
Robbie Lawler gave him a power driver, and he was back on his feet. He was back on his feet in seconds, and he had him in a little bulldog.
Oh, bro!
That in itself is like, whether the controversy with the stoppage in that fight aside, that in itself is worthy of respect. I think getting like fucking tombstoned by Robbie Lawler and then getting back up, that was, you know what I mean? I was impressed. Thanks for that, man.
He has the weight of every single MMA fan firmly on his shoulders, and he needs to do something about it. Can he withstand it?
I swear to God, if Ben Askren wins and I see one meme about the George Masvidal knockout, I'm in that Instagram page shut down.
I'm getting active. I'm getting active.
Listen. I will not. If Ben Askren beats Jake Paul, I will not tolerate any Ben Askren slander.
Nothing.
None.
He will move up. He will move up 100% in my book. I'll be like, cool. Thank you for doing that. You've done it for everybody, and you showed everyone what time it is. But you know the thing is, Ben Askren with boxing gloves on is gonna look a fucking joke, man. He's gonna be like this properly. He's gonna be like, oh my God. He's gonna be like, come on. It's gonna be an absolute embarrassment. And
yeah, it could be bad, innit? It could go very, very badly for MMA fans. And you know, for Ben himself, innit? But
is he gonna outpoint? Is he going to outpoint? Is he going to out?
I don't think this is the thing, right? I don't think he has the speed to outpoint Jake Paul. And this isn't a compliment to Jake Paul. You know what I mean? I'm not confident in this one, man. I'm not confident.
He can't. He's not gonna. It's very unlikely he's gonna outpoint him. And at this point in his age, his training, he's not gonna learn anything new. And we've seen him do those. Whoa! We've seen him do all of this recently. Yeah. So he's not gonna learn anything. He's gonna be the same fighter. He's not gonna get any stronger. He could probably be fit and be able to take a punch. He's not gonna outpoint him, and he's not gonna knock out what's his face, Jake Paul. So realistically, the only way it's gonna happen is Jake Paul wins by decision. That's it.
That's one prediction, isn't it?
It makes me sick. It's so shit. Fucking man. Get away. That's some bullshit, but like that's what's gonna happen, I think. And it's gonna I hope that everything that's true, that Ben Askren just does some stupidness and just does some freak knockout of him, and I'll be like, that was all skill. That's what I'm gonna be saying.
I think you should just break the fucking rules and just give him a flying knee or something.
Do something wild. Or get disqualified, then it's a no contest. Cool, I'm all right with that. I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
Fine. As long as he comes out with his dignity intact, I think MMA gets a win.
Yeah, fucking hell. He's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, man. So yeah, Jake Paul by decision, unfortunately.
Okay, next one. We'll go on some real fights now. Kevin Holland, Derek Brunson this weekend coming up. Looking forward to that one, actually. That should be good. I really, really started to like Kevin Holland, man. I just think he's doing his persona, the way he fights and the attitude towards fighting. Yeah. There's a lot of people that will give the anyone, anywhere, anytime speech, but Kevin Holland seems to actually mean it. I like Kevin Holland a lot, man. And listen, I think, you know, even the fact what he did to fucking Jacare in itself is
from the bottom.
To me, is like, okay, yeah, I'm not writing you off against anyone at this point. I'm not writing you off against anyone. You know what I mean? So
Jacare's corpse looked like, you know, in the Viking times when they put somebody on a pike on the bridge, like his whole body was like slumped. He got fucked up, bro.
From bottom position.
Bottom, bro. Fucking hell.
That's mad.
But and you can see it in Holland's face of like, let me wait till he lulls, and then I'm gonna just go burst on him, and it worked. And I was like, that kind of thinking is the nasty kind of mentality that you need to be sick. When Conor started, when Conor done the shoulder, it was like, oh, that hurt you, didn't it? Bang, bang, bang. I was like, yeah, that's the kind of shit. But Brunson is on a streak, and I don't like Brunson at all. When he smells blood, he reverts to some schoolboy looking wide leg stance. What? And I just can't. I don't like how it looks. But it's got results. But I'm fully on board with Kevin, with Holland. And if you go on Kabwham.com, watch the big mouth mini documentary on Holland. It's done by a guy, some YouTuber guy. It's an hour-long mini documentary, and it's called Big Mouth, about his Contender Series, how Dana saw him, the first time Dana saw Holland, and how Dana didn't like him. And then it goes all the way through to Thiago, when he fought Thiago and lost to Thiago. It's such a good insight into the guy himself. He's super funny, he needs to be in MMA for sure. He's a good talent, man. So I reckon he's going to win. Holland's going to win, I reckon.
I'm with you there, man. Definitely. Looking forward to that one as well. Looking forward to next one we'll go for is... have we done... We've probably given this a while back in it, but seeing as it's getting a little bit closer to it now, 2 weeks away, Stipe and Francis. Stipe Francis.
Weirdly, kind of like... It's almost like I keep on thinking to bring it up, but I never do, because I don't know. I honestly think that
we're just fucking guessing, man. None of us know shit, bro.
Yeah,
we're just fucking guessing, man. Come on.
Well, I mean, to the extent of like, I feel like you can't dodge it. That probability alone. He head moved and he got out of the way of a lot of Ngannou's things. There was a couple of times when Ngannou looked absolutely distraught because he wasn't landing. I don't imagine that could happen again, man. I don't imagine that could happen again. He's got to either change his tactics or he's got to progress since. And I feel
like if anyone can do that though, it's Stipe. I think if anyone can change his tactics, that's Stipe, man. Like we saw it in the DC trilogy. Do you know what I mean? Like he got knocked out in the first fight. He come back with a different approach and won the belt. And then in the rematch again, there was a different approach a third time. You know what I mean? And I think that Stipe will get it done. But there's a big asterisk on there. That like I mean, you know, especially at his age now, he's not a young guy. I mean, he's 38-ish, maybe 39 even. I don't know, but you're like, especially, you know, he got knocked out by DC. He took damage in the subsequent 2 fights. If Francis even half lands on him, it could be night, innit? It could be night. And it's not going to take one of the Francis, what Francis did to Overeem, one of them uppercuts from hell.
It was like touch.
He could touch him, half touch him, and he could go deep in it. So there's an asterisk there. Yeah. But if I had to put my money on it, I'm going to say I think Stipe gets it done. And
I don't think Stipe is a lesser fighter than Ngannou. Ngannou for me still falls in that big and your natural attributes have got you to where you're going to go. And I think Stipe is a better fighter, but I think that you're not going to be able to get away with that again, man. I think that there's going to be, exactly like you said, a whisker. There were so many hooks on that first fight that just was like, whoo, and it's like, that's not going to happen again. And I think that Ngannou's going to take it again, not because he's a better fighter. He's just got some mean power, and to dodge all those bullets, you'd have to be. There's a lot of luck involved in that, man. A skill for sure. There's a lot of luck involved in that as well. I don't see it happening.
You need to have both luck and skill, both of them in spades, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I reckon Ngannou's going to knock him out. Unfortunately, don't want it to happen. But as far as what it would do for the John Jones thing. Yeah, man, I want to see that. I can't lie, I want to see that, man. I want to see John Jones because that boy thick. That boy hella thick right now. John Jones is looking like some fucking wrestler, bro. He's looking. This is the
thing with John Jones. And listen, I don't want to get too into this too much because you know I'm just a little bit conscious of going over time and whatever. So I'm not going to start a whole conversation about this. However. John's just gotten a little bit fat, man. Like when he comes to fight, he's gonna strip down the body fat. He's gonna cut down. He's gonna get to his fight weight, and he ain't gonna look much different from he did at 205.
Real. That's real. You can't just burst my bubble entirely there. You can't
put on 15 pounds of muscle. He ain't done. No, that's not happened. He's got a little fluffy, and he's gonna look exactly the same in it. But he's gonna be Francis. He's still gonna be Francis. That's what I'm saying. He would.
There's options. I think as far as the kind of one of the more interesting ones coming up. Obviously, well, there's two more. But let me ask you this time. Let me flip on his head. Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang. Weili.
Weili Zhang.
Without even questioning.
Yeah, I'm quickly with that one.
Light work.
I don't know if. I mean, first of all, the first question that we're gonna have to ask ourselves, and what we're not ask ourselves, but what we're gonna see when that fight happens. We're gonna see whether Rose wants to be there, and that's what I don't even know. I genuinely don't know. Like, I feel like, and I don't know the girl personally. I mean, this is all just speculation as a fan. However, there's a big part of me that feels like Rose wakes up one day and she's like, I don't want to fight anymore, and then the next day she goes, okay, no, I want to fight. And then the next day she wakes up and she goes, I don't really want to fight anymore.
Yeah.
That to me is like, especially someone like Weili Zhang.
Yeah, not going to work.
Can't have that. And again, I think the difference in power, I think, don't get me wrong, Rose is a great striker, really, really fluid, really sharp, really quick. But Zhang is all those things as well.
Yeah.
But power difference is going to be the deciding factor there, I think. I think when Zhang lands on Rose, the reaction and the consequence of that is going to be a whole different story than when Rose lands on Zhang. And I don't think she will. I think she has the ability to land. Both do. But yeah, man, that's Weili Zhang to lose, I think.
Super, super cut and dry for me. And I'd only be repeating exactly what you've said. So as far as that, there doesn't really need to go. Good fight, though. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait for it. Gonna be excited to see it and all the rest of it. But when it comes down to the cage door closing, I can't wait for Zhang to put on another performance, because I want to see her just prolific and active, man. Because she does so much for women's MMA, man. So sick, sick.
And I think I just love her style of fighting. Yeah, I just think it's great to watch. I just enjoy watching her fight. Full stop in it. So yeah, man. Look forward to that one, man.
And to wrap it up and to bring it all back home, you've got coming up, I think it's April, first half of April, Marvin Vettori versus the Gorilla Darren Till. I feel like this needs to be a real discussion in itself, and I think that we should do a by itself episode to let everyone know what time it is. But
100%. I'm fucking bricking it, mate. Vettori is a tough out for anyone. But it's a tough out for anyone. And again, this is all a bit of speculation and but that's what we're doing. That's essentially, what we do. I've been looking at Vettori's Instagram post and he seems like he's fucking up for it.
Yeah, don't just.
Oh, bro, I feel like he wants this so bad, and I feel like he's so ready for it. Listen, Darren Till's a scouser, innit? Like, he don't need to get ready for a fight, innit? Like, he's just constantly ready for a fight.
I can go, yeah.
But is that the right approach for this fight? I don't know, man. And I want Darren Till to win so bad. Like, I really, 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 like, more than almost any of these fights we've been talking about, who we want to win and whatever. If I could pick one that I could have any influence over, it would be this one, and it would be Darren to beat Marvin Vettori and then have that Israel Adesanya Muay Thai kickboxing super. I would love for one.
Hey,
I'm breaking it, bruv.
Yeah, it's super difficult.
I don't even want to let the words. Don't ask me for a prediction, because I don't want to let the words leave my lips in it.
That's what I'm saying. We will come back to this in more detail, and I think we should even back up with why we think it and show people why we think it as well. Because Marvin Vettori, like you said, has got a bee in his fucking body. Because I think he's got to a point where he's like, "Are you taking the piss? You think that this is a padding fight for something else to happen? Okay, lads, let's all take a back seat." He's wild vexed about it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it, because what he did to Israel, come on, man, nobody really even spoke about that afterwards. It was kind of like, whatever, on to the next one.
Everyone was just like, well, it's a win on his record, and we move on, and the hype train continues. Let's never speak of this again.
That's it, because nobody wanted to talk about it.
As well, I was more than happy as well. I was like,
it's
won the fight.
Woo!
But it's like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't a robbery, innit? Let's say that when Marvin Vettori didn't get robbed, not even close. Israel got the win on his record. Let's shut this book, innit?
I was happy with that.
but we have to go back and look at the ins and outs and the sequences of that fight. We need to look at them again, and especially now we've seen Vettori come back from that, get his name into the throw his name in the hat or whatever. We need to actually look at that one again, man.
And I think that's what everybody's job that has watched this, and thank you for watching it. If you've stayed with us to the end, do some homework. There's going to be Fight Focus on Kabwham. It's going to show you what Marvin Vettori is about. And whilst you're there, have a look at Kevin Holland as well, because that's coming up real soon. And these two people are going to be something to be talked about in the bigger names in both the divisions in the UFC. And we'll leave it there for today, because if I start talking about Darren Till and what I think is going to happen, there's going to be another hour on this thing, innit? So homework for everyone that's been watching. Check out on Fight Focus on Kabwham.com, both Marvin Vettori and Kevin Holland.
The next one we're going to talk about Darren Till, I might even have to bring notes. I'll be prepared for the first time in the short history of this show. I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to bring some notes.
And it's only right.
Might even have some fucking clips up on there. We get some fucking green screen, throw some clips up, all sorts. The whole.
I'm gonna get one of those DC pens and do the arrows with the footwork and all that.